Hello gamers, and welcome to the second part of me participating in the 4th Shadow Kingdom building contest Under the Sea. Behind me you can see my contest block, and if you've seen part 1 then you already know how I got to this point. This video will include all the work I've done in the second week in a diary essay sort of format, so you will see a day-by-day progress report and maybe some live building and time lapses as well. Other than an introduction, this is also a recap of day 8 and day 9. These were Easter in the Netherlands. In the Netherlands we have 2 Easter days, so I didn't get a lot of work done on them. All the sea stuff and the boat stuff and the anglerfish stuff you would have been able to see in the first video. However, the Roman ruins that I am building over here, which I want to have as a set piece for the environment of the fish, these are new. This is what I've been working on. And this is what I'm going to be working on for the next couple of days. I want to throw these around, scatter these around the plot a little bit, make it look messy, make it look like they are ruined and destroyed, with the fish positioned in the middle. So I want to make some pillars over there. I'll do it the same on this side as well, just throw some rubble around. Of course I'll put some natural stuff in as well. Most notably plants. I want to have lots of seaweed and algae and maybe some mosses and stuff like that. Also regular rocks, just to blend the ruins in with the environment more, but that's all still to come. For now I've just been building this with my wool placeholder blocks, and eventually I'll color them. So that's really just been it for day 8 and day 9. Let's move on to day 10. Welcome back, I hope you enjoyed the time-lapse, and here you can see the final result of the ruins that I have been making. Between recording the time-lapse and making these ruins, and now me recording this section, it's been about 4 or 5 days. I decided to take a big break from building for a while, because I've been building really intensely in the first week. However, that means that now it is the 3rd week already, meaning that I only have a couple days to finish everything else. So I've got to get to work if I want this to look finished. Regardless, I'm happy with how the ruins turned out so far, as I am being slowly surrounded by SpongeBob themed plots on every side of my monster fish. The ruins look really, well, ruined, basically. They're all wonky, leaning over. They look like they're about to fall down, which is exactly what I was going for. And now I want to continue with some more hardscaping, specifically the rocks and some other natural terrain, in combination with a little bit more ruined parts, in order to sort of paste it all together. So that is what you'll be seeing next. Hey everyone, so I was thinking on how I wanted to build the boulders of my plot, and I figured that I would use something that I haven't used before, figure out how it works a little bit, and it is the Boulder Brush. So what the Boulder Brush allows you to do is allows you to make boulders. Really, that's how simple it is. Just like the Sphere Brush allows you to make spheres, the Boulder Brush allows you to make boulders. So this is how it works. You use /brush boulder to specify that you want to use the boulder brush. Then you select the blocks that you want to use. So in this case, I just want to use some blue wool, since I'll be painting the rocks later. And then there are 3 different things that you will fill in. Firstly, you will fill in the radius of it, the size of it. So for example, let's not make it too big. Just for example, we'll use 6. And then the second specification is the smoothness, which I will explain in just a minute. For now, we'll put it at 3. And then finally what you do is you fill in the height. So I want it to be a little bit tall, so we'll put it at 10. And then when I use the brush, there it is. It's a rock. Amazing. Now, the good thing about this is that it does slightly randomize your rocks every single time. So if I were to use it again, you would see that the rock would look slightly different compared to the previous ones. Obviously still similar because we have the same specifications in place, but you can use this to very quickly place a bunch of rocks around your map, really. Now, I talked about smoothness earlier a little bit. I will now show you what it does. The smoothness basically determines how many polygons the system uses to create your rock. So in other words, if you make the number higher, the rock will be smoother, and if you make the number lower, it will use fewer polygons and the rock will be very angular and jagged. So you can use this from a scale from 0 to 5. So if we were to put it at 0, you will see that the rock is very jagged and angular, almost square even. Probably better to see if I turn the size a bit up. So let's make it quite large. I'll put it at 15 and I'll put this one at 15 as well. It does take a little bit to generate, so when you are using bigger rocks, expect a little bit of downtime in between, but here you can see that the rock is very angular. Actually pretty nice looking rock, this one. And then if I were to use this again and put it at maximum smoothness, which is 5, and put it next to this one, you will see that the rock will be a lot smoother, almost like a pebble that's been rounded by the waves of the ocean. Again, it does take a little bit of time for the rock to generate. There we go. It is almost perfectly round. It's almost like the sphere brush, but you can still see that it is a little bit more angular than a perfect sphere would have been. Now, these are the meats and beetroot, I guess, that I have in my inventory. These are the rocks that I've already made, so I'll just show them quickly. I made one pretty tall and relatively round rock that I can use to prop up some of the pillars. This one is the biggest, so it will take a little bit to load. But once it's there, you'll see what I am talking about. There it is. It's sort of like a rounded pillar. Now this one is basically the same idea, but it's a little bit more pointy. It's also a little bit smaller, so it's like a sort of an obelisk type shape that I can use to make some steep cliffs if I want to. The next one is a very round and sort of squat rock, very much a rounded pebble. And then finally, I have two rocks that are a little bit more jagged, a little bit more angular, and I've got one at a medium size and one at a small size. So using these 5 brushes, I'm going to put in some rocks around my fish, which is what you'll be seeing next. So you just saw me place in all the stones in here. They are all painted up, also with the soil painted as well. This is how it turned out. I used the layering of glass technique to make it look a little bit foggy underneath the fish, to really look like he's emerging from an abyss, or maybe just a brine pool, something like that. I wanted to make these rocks look a little bit fantastical, so I put some colors on them that might be a little bit unusual. I went with some purples and some prismarines and blues, as well as just your standard grey. It looks really cool when you're flying out above. It really makes it feel messy, and also the fish sort of blends in. It's a little bit camouflaged, which, you know, it would have if it was a real thing. So that's pretty successful. I'm really happy how it's been out, actually. I also painted some algae. You can see it on the rocks. They're the green spots. I used the splatter brush to do that, and I also already painted some algae on the ruins because I figured I'm using these brushes anyways, I might as well do that. So that really is already starting to tie them in, but now I think the next step is to finish the ruins and then paint them as well in order to finish the environment. So I was building these plants and I wanted to quickly talk about how I make these curves. As you can see, the stems of these plants are really smoothly curved, And you can do this by hand, but it's actually a really easy world editing command that you can use to make them curved. And it's also the same command that I used for the lure part of the anglerfish. So all you have to do is, well, first you need to change your world editing selection. World editing selections are a pretty big topic, and I'm not going to get into it too deeply right now. But what you do is you type //cell, which is short for select, and then you use convex. Now, normally your selection is a cuboid. As you know, if you use world edit, you can right click, you can left click, and you select a cube. Now, the convex polyhedral selector, well, it allows you to select a little bit more of an advanced way. So what you can do now, really, is select your starting point, just with the left click. It will set position 1, and then you can fly to the next position where you want the curve to be. So you just type position 2, and then I will fly up a little bit more, and I will type position 2 again. And then if you look in the chat, you can see, even though I type position 2, it now says position 3 set. And you can do that up to 20 points. And if I just circle back a little bit and set another position, it should probably be tall enough. I want this one to be a little bit shorter compared to the other two. And now what I do is I type /curve, if I can type, that is. And I want the stem to be made out of red wool and the thickness to be 0.5, which will mean that I will only have a single block thickness. And then when I use that, there you go. You can see that it's a very easy way to make curved strings like this. For example, for plants, or if you want to make an anglerfish yourself and you want to make a lure, there's tons of possibilities to use. Just be sure that after you're done making your curves, you do turn your selection back to cuboid, or else you won't be able to do your regular world editing commands that you might want to use. And with some final detailing, the plot is now completely finished. Here it is. I covered it over to my private world, just so I'd have a little bit more space to fly around it, and I can show you it from all angles without being distracted by, well, SpongeBob. I guess. Here it is. I added a bunch of plants. I added some smaller fish alongside him. Some you might recognize, just like a little reference there. Some smaller fishies on the side as well over here. Some tetras. And I added a narwhal as well. I thought it was cute. I finally added the second sailor that I have been talking about adding into the plot ever since like day 2 of this entire video series. I added a little unicorn on the emblem to give some more detail to the sails. A pteranodon up in the sky because the sky was kind of empty and I felt like I could fill a little bit more space there. Having him posing quite dynamically over the plot. Really just some details all around. Lots of plants. Lots of colors, and this is it. I added these little air bubbles as well. They're just glass blocks, but I figured they would work well as air bubbles. And what I did is I got a sphere brush from World Edit. I set it to the maximum size, which is like 50, and then I set it to like 99.99% air and like 0.001% the white stained glass blocks, and I just clicked it once and boom, now I have air bubbles all over the plot. I didn't put any more thought in that, literally just 10 seconds and done. What you gonna do about it? Bada bing, bada boom. There it is. And the real interesting thing about this plot, which I always like doing, is when I set it to night, you can see all of the lights appearing in, and it really highlights the sections of the plot that I want to be highlighted. This is something that I recommend everybody does. Just making a plot and it looking good at daytime, that's step 1. If you really want to elevate the moodiness of your plot and sort of the setting, the scene of the plot, turn it to night and put highlights with light blocks in all the areas that you want people to see primarily. That always brings so much life to it. I placed a light block in the face of the lure here to really make her stand out in the ocean. Put some lights along the boat, in the railing, it all being very dark and moody, and then underwater with the lights in the kelp. It really creates sort of like a magical bioluminescent environment. I added some lights on the fish as well, and obviously the fish itself has glowing eyes, some teeth that are glowing because I wanted the jaw to be illuminated as well. And there you have it. This is the plot. I really hope that you enjoyed watching me make this plot over the past couple weeks. I enjoyed filming it. It was different than just talking about my plot after I've already done it. You could really hear sort of my thoughts as I was building it, and sort of the ideas that were developing as I progressed with this plot. Now, the contest is now completely done. As I'm recording this, the contest has just ended. So there's no more building on it. It's done now. And it's all in the hands of the staff to judge the plot from here on out. The results will be made public on the 24th, so I'll be eagerly awaiting those. But for now, I hope you have a pleasant rest of your day and rest of your week as well, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.